El Piñatero por George Ancona. Beto is taking newspapers and brown cement bags to Don Ricardo, the village piñata maker. Don Ricardo, or Tía Rico, as the children call him, is well known for his beautiful, unusual piñatas. He also makes decorations for the church and figures for processions. Beto knocks on Tio Rico's door. He hears the tapping of a cane and the sound of shuffling feet inside the house. The door swings open. Buenos dias, Beto, growls a devil. Ay, que miedo. But Beto quickly realizes that Tio Rico is up to one of his usual pranks. He is trying on a mascara he has made for a coming fiesta. The horns are real and come from the head of a ram. Taking off the mask with a hearty laugh, Tio Rio thanks Beto for the package and gives him a few monedas. This is how Beto earns his pocket money and how Tio Rico gets some of his materials he needs. Don Ricardo is 70 years old. He started creating piñatas cuando tenía 15 años, when his former job making felt sombreros became too hard for him. Ya fui a escuela, he says, but I didn't learn very much in school. I liked to go to the river and play with mis amigos until one of our fathers would discover us and chase us back to la escuela. Mi papá was a hatter, and I left school to help him. After I married, I started my own hat business. I think that working all those years in front of the hot fire gave me rheumatism, he continues, moving about the house with the help of a cane. It gave me the dinero to build this casa brick by brick, but it also made it hard for me to walk. Don Ricardo starts his day by making paste in the kitchen. He puts a small handful of flour into an old pot and adds enough agua to make a thin paste and breaks apart the lumps with his fingers. He adds kindling to the fire and fans it out until the flames leap up. Then he puts the pot on the fuego and stirs the mixture until it thickens. Starch makes a better paste than flour, says Don Ricardo, but it is scarce in mi pueblo and very expensive. Today, Tio Rico is making a piñata in the shape of a swan. He begins by rolling dry banana leaves into a thick rod with a bulge at one end of the head. He wraps the rod in brown paper smeared with paste. Then he forms the neck into an S-shaped curve and places it in el sol, the sun. Old iron holds it in shape until it's dry. Next, Tio Rico covers the neck with white paper so the brown won't show through the outer layer of the white crepe paper feathers. Then he makes a shallow cardboard cone, cuts it in the center, and glues it into the base of a neck. Tio Rico rolls another piece of cardboard into a large cone. He bends the end to form the swan's tail and wraps it. Using a pattern he designed, Tio Rico traces the shape of the wings onto cardboard and cuts them out. He covers these with paper as well. Next, he cuts out the cardboard triángulos and bends them in the middle from the swan's beak. Then he cuts out the pies, making them look as if they are paddling. These he also covers with paper. Then, Tio Rico makes the swan's ojos, eyes. Cutting out circles from the black letters on the cement bag, he pastes one circle on each side of the head. Tio Rico needs some pots for his piñatas, so he puts on his hat, takes up his cane, and sets off for the market. There he finds the two pots he needs, uno más grande que el otro. In su casa, Tio Rico ties some strong twine around the neck of the smaller pot, leaving some loose to form a handle. In order to keep the swan's body round. He cuts off the collar of the pot, then glues newspaper all over the pot and the string. Próximo come the feathers. Using pinking shears, Tío Rico snips into a folded strip of white crepe paper and wraps it with glue onto the tail. Then he pastes the neck and tail onto the body. He paints the beak amarillo and the feet anaranjado. After pasting the feet into the position he wants, Tío Rico adds more feathers to the body and the wings of the swan. When everything is dry, Tío Rico uses a nail to poke 2 small holes through the wings in the pot. With a large needle and strong thread, he secures the wings to the body. Tío Rico covers the knotted threads with more white crepe paper, feathers, and holds up the swan for inspection. Bueno, he says, pleased with this work. Let's see who will break this one. Another of Tío Rico's famous piñatas is ready for a fiesta. Tío Rico also makes traditional piñatas like the piñata de picos, the star piñata. Taking the larger pot, he ties the same cord to it and covers it with newspaper. Then he makes 4 cardboard cones, the points of the star, and covers them with paper too. Tío Rico snips a 1/2-inch cut into the base of each one, folds back the flaps, and pounds them flat with a hammer. Then he glues the flaps to the sides and the bottom of the pot. When the glue is dry, he pastes the metallic paper to the point of each cone, the pico, so they will glitter. Tío Rico uses various colores of tissue paper for the estrella, cutting the paper into strips and gluing row after row of them onto the pot, just as he did for the swan. He then cuts longer rectángulos of colored tissue paper and pastes them together at 2 edges, which makes it easier to cut the whole stack into even strips. Gathering the strips together, he folds each one in half, making tassels. Then he sews 1 tassel to the tip of each point of the star. For the final touch, he cuts off the glued ends and lets the tassels fan out into colorful fringes. There is another knock at the door. Tío Rico gets up from his workbench to greet 4 boys who have come to pick up some of his monos or puppets for a birthday party. Los chicos will perform folk dances with the puppets. Tío Rico places the puppets over los chicos' heads and off they go to la fiesta. At first, I just made piñatas for mi familia and mis amigos, explains Don Ricardo. But then other people began to order piñatas for their fiestas. The first ones I made were simple, pots covered with colored paper. Then I started making them into shapes like vegetables, frutas, y estrellas. As I improved, I began making more complicated piñatas like flores, pájaros, y animales. A carrot piñata is very easy to make, he continues, taking a bean pot from the kitchen. Chuckling, he adds, I'll buy my wife another pot. He pastes a large cone onto the pot to make the carrot shape. Then he covers it with layers of newspaper, plain paper, and orange crepe paper. He glues a layer of green around the top and sews a tassel to the bottom. The carrot piñata está listo. Yet another knock at the door summons Don Ricardo from his workbench. Daniela and her mamá, Señora Yolanda, have come to choose a piñata por la cumpleaños de Daniela. Tío Rico shows them the swan and the estrella. Daniela admires the swan but picks la estrella. On the way home, her mama asks why. Because the swan is too pretty to break, says Daniela. With a mischievous smile, she adds, and the star is bigger, so it will hold más dulces. And they both burst out laughing. Piñatas are filled with oranges, apples, tangerines, cacahuates, walnuts, peaches, pieces of sugar cane, little toys, dulces, and sometimes confetti. They are a popular part of many festivities, including Navidad and especially cumpleaños. Naturalmente, Don Ricardo and his esposa, Doña Carmen, are invited to almost all the parties. At Daniela's party, the heavily laden piñata is tied to a rope that stretches across the patio. The free end of the rope is held by someone strong enough to haul the piñata up and down. One by one, Daniela and her guests are blindfolded and take turns trying to hit the elusive piñata with a stick. Finally, the children hear the crack of the clay pot, see a small shower of frutas and confetti, and charge ahead to grab everything they can. Another guest is blindfolded, and the partly broken piñata continues its merry dance as the stick searches wildly in the air. The rest of los niños try to help, shouting, up, 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 down, down, to the left, to the right. Eventualmente, someone succeeds and the piñata crumbles, releasing its contents in a cascade that brings all the children running. Small hands quickly pick the ground clean. Ahora, la música empieza, and Tío Rico places the puppets over the boys' heads. Los chicos begin to kick and stomp to the beat. The guests laugh and applaud as the figures spin and twist. When la música stops, the sweaty, breathless boys take their bows, and Tío Rico helps them off with their puppets. As Rico takes his leave, he turns to look at the remnant of his beautiful piñata, and he smiles, knowing that it is proof of a very happy birthday fiesta. El fin.